He arrived 3 hours late, again, without calling, without warning. And when she questions him, irritated, he says, "Relax, it was just traffic." She knows it wasn't, but she takes a deep breath and thinks, he must be stressed with work. He ignores her for days. When he reappears, he doesn't even explain. And her? She's already created 10 justifications in her head. He needs space, he's not really a phone person, all men are like this. He treats her badly in front of friends. Later says it was a joke. And she swallows the embarrassment and thinks, I'm too sensitive, he didn't mean to hurt. And with each excuse she invents for him, a part of her withers. Because deep down, in a part she tries not to hear, she knows. Knows she's lying to herself. Knows she's defending the indefensible. And late at night, when the silence is too loud, the question haunts her. Why do I do this? Why do I create justifications for someone who doesn't even bother to justify himself? This is the mental prison of women who justify everything. And today we're diving into the painful psychology behind this pattern. Because it's not naivety. It's not blind love. It's a complex psychological defense mechanism that protects her from a truth she's not yet ready to face. And without understanding why her brain does this, she'll spend her life defending men who don't defend her, justifying unjustifiable behaviors, and calling this mental prison being understanding. Let's start by dismantling what's really happening. She doesn't justify everything because she's foolish. She justifies because her brain is operating in severe cognitive dissonance. It's a brutal psychological conflict. How to reconcile I love this person with this person treats me badly. These two truths cannot coexist without destroying her from the inside. So her brain chooses the easier way out, distort reality to reduce the conflict. He didn't arrive late without warning because he doesn't care. He arrived late because he had a problem. He didn't ignore her for days because she's not a priority. He ignored her because he was busy. He didn't disrespect her. She misinterpreted. And each justification she creates is a lie she tells herself to avoid facing the truth. He doesn't treat her well because he doesn't want to. And she accepts it because she's afraid of being alone. Psychologists call this cognitive minimization. She reduces the severity of his behavior to make it bearable. Because accepting the real dimension of the disrespect would be too devastating. So she justifies. And by justifying, she remains. And by remaining, she teaches him he can disrespect her without consequences. Now the question arises, but why does she do this? Why can't she see what everyone sees? Because the pattern of justifying started long before him. If she grew up in a home where bad behavior was normalized, where screaming was nervousness, where absence was work, where coldness was just his way, she learned early to rationalize the unacceptable. If she was raised to be the mediator, the peacemaker, the one who understands everyone, she developed a dangerously high tolerance for toxic behavior. She became an expert at seeing the other's side, even when the other doesn't see her. If she grew up with fear of conflict or abandonment, she learned that questioning is dangerous. So she prefers to justify and keep the peace, rather than confront and risk losing. And now, when he disrespects her, something inside her doesn't scream leave. It screams, there must be an explanation. He wouldn't do this on purpose. I must be exaggerating. Because facing the truth would mean making a decision. And making a decision would mean acting. And acting would mean changing. And changing hurts more than continuing to justify. As she continues justifying, the patterns deepen. She develops selective blindness. She only sees what she wants to see. His excuses, never the repetitions of behavior. The promises, never the constant breaks. She begins reverse gaslighting. She does to herself what he does to her. I'm exaggerating. I'm too sensitive. I misinterpreted. She becomes her own enemy. She loses her internal moral compass. She no longer knows what acceptable behavior is. Because she normalized the unacceptable so much that she lost the reference of what basic respect is. And most dangerous, she becomes his lawyer in her own internal conversations. When her intuition screams something is wrong, her mind already has 10 arguments defending him. She betrays herself in real time. What happens to this woman? She becomes the adult who no longer trusts herself. because every time her instinct says this is wrong, she silences it with justifications. And over time, she stops hearing her own voice. She becomes the type of woman who defends his behavior to friends with more conviction than he would himself, has a ready excuse for every disrespect, feels guilty for questioning, as if suspecting were the real problem, normalizes giant red flags as every relationship has problems. And she lives in an alternate reality, one where he's not problematic, she's demanding, where he doesn't make mistakes, she doesn't understand, where he doesn't need to change, she needs to accept. And friends see it, family sees it, everyone sees it except her, because she's so invested in the version she created of him that seeing who he really is would mean admitting she wasted time loving an illusion. The crucial question isn't, why does he do this? It's, why do I justify? Because she only justifies when she's afraid to face something. Fear of being wrong about him and having to end it, fear of confirming she's not a priority, fear that if she stops justifying, nothing will be left to hold on to. And while fear commands, she'll keep defending who attacks her and calling it mature love. So if there's a woman listening who justifies everything, understand this. She's not being understanding. She's being complicit with her own disrespect. She's not giving the benefit of the doubt. She's ignoring the evidence. And there comes a point where justifying becomes complicity, with the harm he does to her, and with the harm she does to herself. She deserved someone whose behavior didn't need 10 justifications, deserved someone whose actions spoke for themselves, deserved not to have to constantly defend someone who should defend her. And she can still choose differently. Stop justifying, start observing, and especially, start believing what she sees, not what she wants to see, because the truth hurts, but living in the lie, that destroys. And she doesn't deserve destruction. She deserves clarity, even if that clarity shows her she needs to leave.